Come Fly With Me was a mockumentary sketch comedy series created by and starring Matt Lucas and David Walliams. The series was a distant branch off from the original sketch show the two created, Little Britain, which originally aired back in 2003 and later became somewhat of a cult classic. Come Fly With Me came about in 2010. By this point, Little Britain on its own had gained considerable notoriety. The pair of comedians were a proven success and, quite frankly, the staple point of British sketch comedy. Something that was evident with the repeats on UK Netflix of Come Fly With Me being some of the most consistently watched non-original content on the site, period. That is until in June 2020, Netflix, the BBC and a few others decided to pull Come Fly With Me and Little Britain from their streaming services and YouTube channels, essentially attempting to eliminate any sign that the shows had ever existed. And do you want to know why? Because some people found them offensive. I've come to expect things like this from the likes of the BBC and other sources of traditional mainstream media. They're seemingly always trying to take a hold of, and in some instances take a moral high ground in reference to this new woke ideology that's been suffocating us for the last couple of years. Whereas Netflix, for quite a while, was proving to be the light at the end of the tunnel. Amongst all of the widespread pandering and mass-scale pussyfooting from mainstream corporations, Netflix for a time was quite blatantly going against the current and was proving to be somewhat of a messiah in the media world when it came to comedy, producing edgy stand-ups from Twitter cancel comedians left, right and centre, even though they themselves, Netflix, were the subject of loud criticism for doing so. Just 3 years prior to the Come Fly With Me takedown, Netflix had actually offered Matt Lucas and David Walliams £3 million to do a reboot of Little Britain. That's why, when Netflix decided to take Come Fly With Me down last year in response to social pressures that were mounting off the back of the Black Lives Matter movement, I really felt a genuine sense of disappointment. The one big player who really seemed to stand for the freedoms that comedy should be entitled to had switched sides overnight. The fact that a sketch show, which was designed to be offensive, has been taken down for being offensive is an example of modern day utter lunacy. Blackface has been cited as the overwhelming reason why these shows have now been deemed as no longer appropriate. To try and appropriate, dictate and then condemn something that was made with the sole intentions to make people laugh does not make any sense. Comedies, sitcoms, sketch shows, they're not there to make a point. They're not pushing an argument or peddling a narrative. They are made up storylines with make-believe characters. Characters that, when they were thought up, were never intended to be taken seriously because they are part of a comedy. In my opinion, to argue against something you've seen in a comedy is the equivalent to arguing with yourself in a mirror, because no one is arguing back. Come Fly With Me isn't telling you that racism is okay. Come Fly With Me is telling you to have a laugh every now and again, to not take yourselves or other people too seriously. That, in essence, is all that comedies aim to do. In early examples of media, many years ago, white actors were casted to play black characters in movies with exaggerated facial features and blackface paint. This is primarily because systematically racist film studios did not want to cast black people. They would rather cast white people. Blackface in a sketch show in the 21st century does not carry that same meaning. The whole idea of a sketch show is that the same person or people play multiple different characters in short sketches. Matt Lucas and David Walliams aren't in blackface because they didn't want to hire black actors for these roles. They're in blackface because the entire idea of the show is that it's a sketch show where the main characters try to play everyone, regardless of skin colour, of weight, of gender. That is a key element of what a sketch show is. In my own personal opinion, anyone who still argues that they have no place playing characters of a different skin colour either doesn't understand the true history of blackface, doesn't understand what a sketch show is, or they just get a buzz out of the power that society and these big companies have handed to them when everyone decides to submit to the people who find offence in everything. As much as it may sound like I'm coming to the personal defence of David Walliams and Matt Lucas, I'm actually coming to the defence of their comedy shows. As entertainers, I think they are both some of the best we've ever had in this country. I think there's very few that beat them. But as people, I don't respect them. Last year, they apologised for the shows they made. I think in doing that, Not only did they lose every bit of integrity they ever had, but they also threw comedy under the bus for the sake of their own images. Both comedy and taking offence go hand in hand. They're both peas from the same pod, because they're both incredibly subjective. Anyone could find anything funny and anyone could find anything offensive. If you police comedy because of something as subjective as offence, we may as well do over with comedy altogether, because you will never, ever please everyone. Thank you for watching. If I've sounded a little bit weird in this video, it's because I actually have Rona right now. Yeah, listen. I still wanted to get this video out for you though. Do you know why? Because I've got integrity. Feel free to share this video to someone who may have wanted to hear this. Maybe I've put into words what they've been thinking for a while about the Come Fly With Me series. Also feel free to send it to someone who may have an opposing opinion, and if we can change their mind on it, or at least start a dialogue, then brilliant. See you soon.